All right, y'all. I think one of the most fascinating things is hearing medical professionals explain supernatural events that they have encountered. It is extremely fascinating to hear these individuals who have the medical training, who understand the facts and the science and all the odds and all that type of stuff. It's so fascinating. Bro, is this it? Am I done? Can I not speak anymore? Is this it? Is this the end of me? Listen. Can I say some words, please? I'm praying. God, help me say some words, please. I need a few more words, please. Listen. It's fascinating because it just confirms what we already know. It confirms what we already know. But to hear her say it through her vantage point and with the perspective that I'm assuming that she has, which is a factual science perspective, to see the supernatural just shatter that perspective, I love it. It's very fascinating. Hospice nurse Julie, let's watch the video.
So as many of you know, I believe I saw an angel. And what was surprising to me, one, was that I was, not really expecting it. I've never really thought about this topic much. So it was surprising what it looked like to me. In my eyes, an angel has wings and is light and is airy and feels very peaceful and soft. But from my experience, at least the thing, what if you want to call it, I don't know what you want to call it, the angel, the thing, the spirit that I saw didn't feel like that. I'll tell you the story in a second, but what I could describe it as is like something big, huge, solid, right? Something big, huge, solid. It may have wings, but if they did, they were like tucked behind it, right? It did look like a human figure, like a head, broad shoulders, if you want to call it that. It felt more like a statue than anything. And the feeling I got when I saw it very briefly was power and strength. It didn't feel scary by any means, no scariness, but it didn't feel soft. And I wouldn't even say it felt loving. I would say it felt powerful and like just a strong, strong energy, if that makes sense. So that was wild to me because I thought I had this idea of what an angel would look like to me. So let me tell you the whole story. So I had a woman come onto hospice. I was doing a late admission, meaning she was getting home late from the hospital. And truth be told, I was actually kind of annoyed that I was being forced to work late. But when I saw her, of course, all of my angst went away because here she was. She was younger. She had children in their early 20s and she was actively dying. She was coming from the hospital. The ambulance was bringing her to her home, and I basically met them at the home. When the ambulance brought her into her house and put her in the hospital bed, I could tell she was very, very close to death. Fully unconscious, changes in breathing. She had the death rattle. She had changes in skin color, right? To me, she looked like she had hours to live. I even thought to myself, maybe I'll just stay here until she dies so the kids aren't alone. So we got her comfortable in bed, and she was comfortable, I can tell you that. So I left the room and I started talking to the children about what was happening with their mom. I could tell that they did not really think she was as sick as she was. So it took a while for me to educate and tell them like, hey, listen, I think your mom is going to die tonight. I think you need to get other people here if you need help and you want support. I'll stay here as long as I can, but eventually I'm going to have to leave. So if you want family and friends here, please call them now. I do think she will die tonight. As we were talking and, they were calling people, I was getting things organized, doing paperwork. I was trying to stay as long as I could because I thought, man, I'm going to leave and she's going to die like any minute. So I have a lot of work to do. I'm just going to stay here and do the work. But as like an hour and a half passed, she was still alive. Now she was still actively dying, but she still was alive. So I eventually told the kids like, listen, I'm so sorry. Like I do eventually have to go. Are you guys going to be okay? They said, yes, they're going to be okay. I explained to them what to do if they needed someone, call this number. If you have any questions, and please call this number when she does die. We will send another nurse out here and we'll help you with all of the other stuff after she dies. They said they understood. They said they'd be okay. So I went to go check on her one last time before I left. As I stood there kind of watching her breathe and like making sure she looked really comfortable to me, I got this flash of an image. And the image is what I was telling you about. This big being, I guess you could say, behind her bed, and it was leaning over her. It was huge. It was definitely to the ceiling. It was as wide as a car, right? And it felt thick and big. And it was leaning over her, and it flashed in my mind. And what it made me feel, I felt this thing, and it made me feel like this thing, being, whatever, has got her. This is mine. It basically said to me, meaning she's mine. And it felt powerful and it felt strong. It didn't make me feel scared at all, but it did not feel warm and soft and fuzzy. I'll tell you that. Okay, so being the nurse that I am, who doesn't really even know if she believes in these things, I quickly pushed that out of my head and just thought that was like me making things up, right? I didn't give it a second thought. And I leave. I go home. I'm thinking of the family because it was I felt bad for them. It was sudden. This was going to be hard. So I'm thinking of the family. I go to sleep. I wake up. The first thing I do when I wake up is check my work phone to see when she died and like who went to go see them and if they were okay. And sure enough, nothing on my work phone, nothing in the emails talks about this woman dying. So I call the office and I'm like, hey, who went to go see so-and-so? Like she definitely would have died last night. And they're like, no, we didn't get any death calls. And I thought, great. Like, that's really what I thought. Oh, great. The family called 911. She's probably in the hospital. Oh, gosh, I feel so bad. So I call the family. It's really early in the morning. It's probably 7:30 in the morning. I call the family. The son answers, and I'm like, hey, how'd it go last night? Sorry to call so early. Just checking on you because I didn't see any calls from you. And he was like, oh my gosh, Julie, yeah, no, last night was nice. Like, mom slept through the night, woke up this morning, and said she was hungry. She's eating pancakes in the kitchen. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. Who do I hear in the background laughing? I hear her laughing with her other child in the background. And I am shocked. I can't really even hold my shock. I'm like, what? She's what? He's like, yeah. She said she was hungry. She wanted pancakes. And I'm thinking, I have to see this for myself. So I get ready for work and I'm like, you're going to be my first visit. I'll see you in, an hour or so. And I drive over there. And sure enough, there she is, up, walking, talking, eating. And my first thought was not, oh, I saw an angel and this is a miracle. That was not my first thought. My first thought as a nurse was, oh my God, this is the biggest rally I've ever seen. I've never seen someone rally this big, right? She's going to die any day now. So of course, I feel like it's an obligation for me to tell the children, like, don't get your hopes up. I think she's going to die soon. And I do say that in so many words because I want them to expect that because that's what I thought was happening. But I was wrong. She did not die. She lived and lived well for the next 3 months, which for many people might not feel like that's a long time, but that's a very long time for someone who was actively dying. She was blue. Like her brain was not oxygenating. Like there's no way you can biologically, scientifically come back from that. Meaning like there's no scientific reason for her to be able to come back from that. To me, that's a miracle. To me, she was a walking miracle. I could not believe what I was seeing. And then she lived well for another 3 months before she died very peacefully on hospice. So as I was leaving that visit, it popped into my head again about what I saw the night before and how I was so quickly able to push it out of my head and go, that didn't happen. I didn't actually see that. But once I saw her, living, and then I started thinking about, that is crazy. I did see that crazy image, right? And then a few days later when she wasn't dying and then she ends up living and living well, more and more I started being like, Julie, you know what you saw. And really, I didn't really know what I saw. I didn't know that angels would look like that, but that's what it felt like. It felt like, well, maybe this was her guardian angel. I don't know. And I never told anybody about that for years because I was too scared. The more and more I educate, the more and more I talk about this stuff, I just think it's important. I don't always have the answers. I don't really know if I saw an angel. I guess I'll never know, right? I feel like I did. I feel like I witnessed a miracle by her living. And then it's hard for me to say that without acknowledging the fact that before I left her room that night, something gave me an image in my mind of a being standing over her that gave me a message of, this is mine. She is mine, with a feeling of like power and strength and care. Yeah. I mean, I've come to the conclusion now that I think I saw an angel. And maybe there's different kinds of angels. Maybe some angels look like that. Some angels look like something else. I don't know. This has never happened to me since. Right? But I always like to share that because I think it's a fascinating story. I think it's a fascinating part of end of life.
Okay. Listen, she said her brain was not oxygenating. She was actively dying. And that's not just a term that she's just throwing out. That term is clear and evident by the symptoms that she has. She's blue. Her brain's not oxygenating. She has the death rattle, as the nurse was saying, right? People don't come back from that scenario from a biological, from a medical standpoint. People don't come back from that. That's why she's literally telling the family, like, yo, when she first got there, she's telling the family, hey, she gonna pass away, but I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna do some work. I don't want you guys to be alone, but this is what's going to happen. She leaves fully expecting that she's going to pass away. Gets a phone call. Hey, mama up. She eating some pancakes. Mama laughing in the background. She pulls up, first stop of her shift, and she's still skeptical to the point where she's telling them like, hey, this is just, I don't know how to explain this, but this is just one final push. But basically she's still going to pass. And then she goes on living for 3 more months, which, like she said, a lot of people going to say, well, it's only 3 months. But do you understand what she said? She said there's literally no medical explanation as to why she would continue living for any extended period of time past that day or a couple days. So the fact that she went on for 3 more months from the state that she was in, actively dying, is a miracle. Or at least that's what the nurse said. That's what the medical professional said, who's by her own admission is not a believer. She says she doesn't even know if she believes in this kind of stuff. But how could you not believe in this kind of stuff when God literally showed it to you? You know what she said? I'm pretty sure you caught it. But she said there was this powerful being, this strong being that put it on her heart and gave Julie a message that said, this is mine. She is mine. That is significant. That is incredible. That is God. That is God. And look at God. Look at the testimony being shared through Nurse Julie. To God be the glory. Amen. That's amazing. That's dope. That's why I love these things so much. There's another doctor, I forget his name, but he was on Diary of a CEO. And he's a Christian. He's a physician. And he was talking about certain data points that are factual about Christians and their health and their anxiety and their longevity. It's so interesting. I want to find that interview. Ultimately, I would love to talk to that individual. I would love to talk to Nurse Julie as well. Because like I said, I think it's so cool when you have medical professionals experience encounters that literally defy the odds and defy facts and defy reasons. That's God. Let me know what you guys think. Get in my comments, like this video. I'm out, y'all.